Hey, how are you? I wanted to talk today about perfection and the standards we hold people to. You know, again, being disabled, there's certain standards, there's certain ways people look at you. Everybody should be, I don't know, perfect. If you act better than your diagnosis, then you're obviously not disabled anymore. I try to be the best person I could be, and I've worked very hard to be where I'm at. And I've deceived many people by thinking that I'm perfectly fine, which is fine. But it's almost like a box that I'm in. I know many people think that they're labeled because of whatever situation when they're totally different than what that label is. But that perfection, that you have to be this standard or you are not accepted. You're not there. You know, it goes beyond even with social media now because you could say anything you want online and then you get responses sometimes that rip you apart. And, so you have three choices. You could respond back, and that's not a very good thing because, ooh, some people can be brutal. You could delete the person or just ignore their comment and not take it too seriously because you don't know what they're dealing with. So it could be a possibility that they are bashing you and feeling the same way. Not feeling the same way, but feeling different or feeling negative, and they're trying to get it out, so they throw it on you, which is human nature. But what is your perfection? What is basically something that you think you should be? I mean, if you have a disability, are you your disability? Do you enhance the things that you can do? Do you try something new if the old stuff doesn't work? That's a big, big thing. If you have bipolar, if you have depression, if you have anxiety, are you your diagnosis? Are you the perfect you can be? When people talk to you, yes, on social media, it's easy to perceive things wrong. But one to one, if you have somebody in your face yelling and screaming at you, bashing you, saying something negative to you, again, look at them. See their circumstances before you take it to heart that they're talking to you about you. Because sometimes people take their junk out on you and they walk away and you're stuck with it. Um, Other times it's just miscommunication, but you can only control you. So you take a deep breath and you say what you can say and be done, and hopefully things can be worked out and talked about. If not yet, take a break. I've had to take breaks from people because I can't take what's coming out because sometimes it could be negative, and I'm not good with negativity because of this injury or these injuries, I should say. Um, it seeps into me, and I can't let it go very quickly. And if I try, it subconsciously it just kind of sits there, and that's a sad thing about part of my injury. Um, but even if you're not brain injured, it still hurts for people to be negative. It still hurts to be bashed. It's how do you react? Do you take on that aggravation and give it back? Get angrier because how dare you respond to me that way? Or do you take a deep breath and look at the person and call them out and say, I didn't deserve that. Where's that coming from? And let them emote to get it out of them. That's the biggest gift you can give because then they're going to see they weren't really yelling at you. Sometimes subjects, sure, get you mad, but for the most part, it's usually people reacting to other things and then getting it out. So, I try to look at people no matter what the outside is, no matter what the whole person is, to see something good. That's how I try to perceive the world and try to perceive that there's something more that meets the eye. There's something better in a bad situation. Because all of us, it's about perception. It's about looking at things and being honest, but yet not hurting other people, which social media doesn't do that. Social media has the habit of going, oh, you're not in the norm, so got to get rid of you. That's what always seems. You have to be a certain way, a certain thing. But if you're perfect to yourself and really hold the truth that God made us all in His image, so every single person is perfect to God. It's what we do with our reactions that get other people to react. So with negativity, with all that, it's just taking a deep breath, assessing the situation, and you can only control yourself. You can't control other people. You can't control their reaction. You can control yours. And I don't think people watch themselves as much as they should. And it's everybody else. Everybody else says this and that wrong, but I don't, because I'm perfect. Perfect me. I think everybody just needs to take a breath and relax and listen to each other. I try, but sometimes I just miss things. And unfortunately, that is, I keep saying it's part of my injury, but it really is part of my injury. Having a corpus callosum that doesn't quite function, taking information in and giving it back. So I miss things sometimes. So I really have to listen, and I really have to monitor myself and really concentrate on what the heck the content is. Because when I first was recovering, that first year, I had to rely on physical expressions, and because the content, the words, some people would play with me and say one thing and meant something totally different, but didn't have but the facials didn't match what they were saying. So I would question. They were like, "Oh no, that's a compliment," when it wasn't. It was insult. If you can't understand the words, for some reason, if it's a bad day even, and you don't quite catch things, watch the facial, watch the physical, watch the way people react back to you, and then you could pick up the content. People respond to body language a lot more or a lot more non-verbally, and you could pick it up. We just don't say it to each other, but you could pick up that anger. You could pick up all that just by watching people. I mean, I've sat for a long time, that first year, and on, watching people and listening to people and trying to get the idea of who's negative and who's positive and what's really coming out of the person. So I've learned to be in tune to people. And yeah, I can see in their eyes, I can see that turmoil. I can see the negativity. I can see something isn't quite there. Either physically they give it to me, verbally they give it to me, or through just looking in their eyes. I can see that freeness, that they're okay and they're happy, and even that they have God. It's very easy to see. Or there's turmoil, there's darkness, there's something not quite right. But it takes time to really look and hear it, but you can hear it. You can see it. You can really detect what that turmoil is. It's just, and you know whether or not to approach the situation or to hold back. But it is pretty simple to pick that up. Tone of voice. If you get that inkling, you should go with it. Or you could call it out, one or the other. If you want to have a conversation, you can feel there's something else going on. You can hear that certain tone. You can see in their eyes that they're just not quite. Call it out. Then you can tell exactly what's going on if you want to have a conversation. If you don't want the negativity to come out to you, call it out. Ask them what is going on. Because it's not me, what's going on. And it either breaks or someone will say it, which is kind of amazing. But it's almost like people long for that subconsciously, so it comes out so negatively. Sorry. But that's the most amazing thing to me, is we're all alike. We're just different in perception, but we are alike in who we are as people. So you're having a bad day one day, someone else could be having a bad day the next day. But we're all perfect if you look at the fact that we're a well-oiled machine. God created us in such a way that's amazing, that between just how our whole bodies work, and if one thing is out of sync, that part of your body goes out of sync. It's like the spark plugs in a motor. You don't put the right motor oil in, and what happens? It putts. It just does not work. The parts have to work together. That's us. That's all we are. Where the parts that work are supposed to work together, and when there's a blip in it, it throws that part off. It's kind of fascinating to really look at that so simply, but our bodies are so amazing, and we're so resilient that our body can heal itself, which is amazing, but it can. You can keep progressing, you can keep going. Just taking that deep breath and going, okay, what do I need to do, and how do I get from point A to point Z? So, time. I'm the classic example of time. So, all I can say is perfection. It exists to an extent if we accept ourselves for ourselves, or we accept others for others. We're perfect. If I accept you, which I would accept you for you, you're a perfect person as a person. So what if you have a disease? So what if you're disabled? So what if you have a deficit? You're still perfectly and wonderfully made. So I know I'm not a good quoter, but we're here to live a life. And we're here to uplift each other, not smack each other down. That's how I look at it. You can get mad, yeah, and you can get it out, yeah. But at the end of the day, we're all fighting the same fight and being who we're supposed to be. It's just there's too much anger that happens because of other factors. So, I just think that if we start looking at each other for being the same, because we're all the same, and we're all here to live a life, then what do we really have to bash each other for? people down. Instead of look people up and find something good in the bad. And good in someone bad. Because there's always some good in people. Some good in situations that are bad. So, it's my take on perfection. All over the place and cutting back and forth, but the bottom line is perfection exists in you. And so what if you have a big nose? So what if you're a little bit overweight? You can lose weight. I'm a prime example of that. So what if you're not performing perfect? You're performing at your level that is the highest level you can perform. You're perfect. The standard is in your eyes, not in other people's eyes. So, if you could take away anything,